Hey YouTube, this is Brian's Garage. Just working on Project 94 Bronco here. Got plenty of time since I got laid off of work, so I figured I'd start making videos on how to repair or replace parts on these things. I'm removing the fenders because they like to rust over here. And if you're a Ford guy, you definitely know they like rusting there. And a lot of that has to do with the structure. This is a fender I'm actually replacing it with, but they like to fill up with garbage inside of here and rust out that panel on the front. So I figured I'd replace it with a nice rust-free fender. I won't be replacing that in this video. I'll just basically be showing you how to remove and some tricks or best ways to remove the old fender first. First thing you're going to want to do is prop the hood. I bought that from Snap-on. I think it was about $60. And those really come in handy. It's a lot better than the old 2x4 trick. First thing you're going to want to do is remove the battery, because you're going to be moving around stuff like this. You don't want any arcing. So a lot of the times with when you're messing around with anything wiring or anything electrical, you're going to want to remove the battery, you know, for safety reasons. And then remove the battery tray here. That is had two 10 millimeters here, two 10 millimeters here, and 8 millimeter there. And that'll give you access down into here, because you're going to want to remove this light bezel here, which is this guy. So, you know, first of all, I prop the hood, remove the battery tray. These are Phillips screws, 2 on the top. You can remove the grill with 4 Phillips and 1 right here, and then the grill will actually just lift out of these tabs here. You remove this guy, but when you remove your battery tray, it's going to give you access to this hole here, and I'm not sure if you can see it there, but this hole right in here, there's 2 11 millimeter nuts that go on the back of here. And there, you'll be lucky if you spin those off without these spinning out of the plastic. They're kind of a coarser screw into there. But once you get that bezel off, that gives you access to these bolts. And you have 8 millimeter here, 8 millimeter there, 2 in here. I learned it's easier just to remove those instead of removing these off this bracket. It's a lot easier to move this with the bracket out of the way. Another 2 there. And now if you're replacing one fender, you could leave this all assembled here, because this will help hold this into place. I just left this like this for the video. I'm actually going to be replacing the driver's side fender too. That one's even worse. But on a single fender replacement, you can leave that like that. That'll give you access to here. Now once I remove that stuff, you're going to want to remove these screws here. And those are 5.5 millimeter. Those hold your inner fender on. And then there's that guy up there from straight up the center of the wheel well there. It's an 8 millimeter. And that'll allow you access to drop this guy down. Now with that drop down, you can take a setup like this, just quarter drive ratchet extension, and this will make it a lot easier. You can shove it through that hole, come through, and get to this 8 millimeter bolt and this 8 millimeter bolt. And those are what actually hold this guy on. So then you'll have all this removed, and the only thing basically holding this fender on the front now is those pins. And you can actually see the fender will slide forward off of those. Then up on top here, you got 2 13 millimeters in this crappy stuff they put in there to shim the body. Then you'll take this off, and this is why you want to use your hood prop, because you're removing one of the supports for the hood. That's also a 13 mil. Remove the jack, crowbar if they're still there. Your solenoid has two 8mm, one on top and one on the side here. You got factory ground, 11mm. This kind of setup here. Basically, this will screw into the fender, and the grounds will slide on there, and this will screw over there. A lot of times these actually, when you go to take this first one off, those will spin in the fender, and you'll ruin these guys if you're not careful. These tools come in handy, you know, for popping off your wiring harness here. You'll want to remove that. So then everything up to this point is done. Now underneath here you got a 13mm bolt, and I'll show you that on the other fender. This is what supports your fender in from the bottom there. It goes into the bottom of the body. And if you open your door, you'll have to kind of fight your way in through there. And right below that hinge, that bottom hinge there, and there's a 10mm bolt in there. And that's kind of a tricky one, but sometimes you'll run into, there's a pad in here to kind of keep debris from coming back at your door. Some have them, some don't. I'm guessing a lot of them fall off. But there's a short video how to remove the Ford Bronco F-150 fender. Figured I wouldn't waste your time sitting here wrenching, and just kind of give you a rundown on, you know, what bolts to remove. And I will be installing that fender, but I think I'm gonna probably paint it first. Put some paint on there and then install it. It's not a bad rust-free fender, just it does have some dents on top. I guess the guy who owned this truck wasn't too happy with it one day, so kind of decided to take a hammer after it. But to me, that's way better fender, rust-free, than this one that's on there. And I might try and drill some holes, you know, to relieve water and get some of that junk out of there. I will be cleaning this out before I install it. But that's all for this video. If you guys have any tips or tricks, you know, leave it in the comments. I'm still learning too. You can never learn too much about these things, but decided I'd make a little video here and give you an idea of what you're up against if you plan on doing this. Thanks for watching.